All right, so have you ever thought about a career as a meteorology technician? Because it's way more than just, looking at maps and telling us if it's going to rain.
Yeah, it's definitely not all sunshine and
It's
rainbows.
serious business. But that's why we're doing this deep dive to uncover all the ins and outs of this career path. And with insights from our expert and, of course, all the data from RoleCatcher, you'll be prepared to weather any storm.
I see what you did there.
Of course. So let's get started. What exactly do meteorology technicians do?
So they are kind of like the data detectives in the weather world.
Ooh, I like that.
They gather all the raw data from these specialized instruments, make sure that it's accurate, and then they get that data to the right people.
So it's like they are the backbone of the whole forecasting operation.
Exactly.
Okay, so they are not just, reading a teleprompter.
No.
But why is this role becoming such a big deal now?
Well, it's pretty simple. With climate change, we're experiencing more and more extreme weather. And this means that we need really accurate forecasts. Meteorology technicians are really on the front lines of helping us to understand and adapt to all these changes.
Wow, talk about a career with impact. So instead of just telling us if it's going to rain tomorrow, they're figuring out how climate change is shifting weather on like a global scale.
Yes,
It-
it's really a field that is constantly evolving,
I bet.
which keeps things exciting, but it also means that you need a very particular set of skills.
Okay, so let's talk about those skills. What does it actually take to become a meteorology technician?
Well, buckle up, Buttercup,
Okay.
because this is where things get interesting. It takes more than just, knowing your way around a thermometer and a rain gauge.
Okay, true.
RoleCatcher breaks down all the key skills that employers are looking for, and, some of them might actually surprise you.
Okay, spill the tea. What are we talking about?
Well, you have your basic, science fundamentals, of course.
There's-
But did you know that reading comprehension is rated as 70% importance for this role?
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
I thought it was all about numbers and data. Why is reading so crucial?
Because you are constantly dealing with these really complex scientific reports, you're interpreting data from all kinds of different sources, and then on top of that, you need to be able to communicate your findings really clearly, and that means both in writing and verbally.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You definitely don't want to be responsible for like a botched hurricane warning or something like that. And speaking of communication, I also noticed that instructing is listed as a key skill as well.
Yeah, you might find yourself training colleagues on new equipment or procedures, or even like educating the public on certain weather phenomena.
Oh, wow.
So a meteorology technician needs to be a strong communicator on all these different levels.
So it's about, connecting the dots between the science and real world situations. Like this data means we need to warn folks in coastal areas about, a potential storm surge or something like that.
Exactly. And those warnings need to be very clear, very concise, and very easily understood by, everyone. That's where those strong communication and customer service skills really come into play.
Okay, I never would have thought of customer service as being like a key skill for this role.
Oh, yeah.
I guess when you're dealing with something as impactful as the weather, knowing how to communicate effectively with people from all walks of life is super important.
It's essential. You're not just analyzing data, off on your own in a vacuum. You're analyzing it to help people make informed decisions about their safety, their businesses, and even their lives.
Wow, this is so fascinating. So you've mastered these skills. You're like a weather whisperer. Now, what does the career ladder look like? I mean, is there a lot of room for growth, or are you stuck just kind of watching the barometer forever?
That is a great question, and don't worry, it's not a dead-end job. Let's explore the typical career progression for a meteorology technician. So at the entry level, you're really getting that hands-on experience with all the instruments, collecting and analyzing data, and then assisting with those initial forecasts.
So it's like an apprenticeship for, like weather wizards. You're learning all the magic behind the scenes.
I like that analogy. You're learning how to read all the signs, understand the patterns, and then use those observations to make predictions.
Okay, so once you've mastered the basics, what's next?
That's when you would probably move into like a junior meteorology technician role.
Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting because you start digging deeper into research projects. You might even work with numerical weather prediction models like the GFS or the WRF.
The GFS and the hold on, even I need a decoder ring for these acronyms.
Right, sorry. The GFS, or Global Forecast System, and the WRF, which stands for the Weather Research and Forecasting Model, are essentially computer programs that use all these complex mathematical equations to simulate weather patterns.
Okay, so instead of just looking at a rain gauge, they're using supercomputers to predict the weather that's next level.
Exactly. So as a junior technician, you might be running simulations with these models. You're analyzing all these different weather scenarios and you're contributing to the science behind forecasting.
Wow. So you're not just, observing the weather anymore. You're really trying to like get one step ahead of it.
Precisely. And that brings us to the senior meteorology technician level.
Okay, hit me with it. What does a weather master do at that level?
At the senior level, you're taking on a lot more responsibility. You're often leading teams of technicians, you're refining data procedures, you're ensuring quality control, all those things that really keep those forecasts as accurate as possible.
So you're basically the conductor of the weather orchestra at that point,
Exactly.
making sure that all the instruments are in tune.
Yes.
But what about growth beyond that?
Yeah.
We talked about the career ladder earlier.
Mhm.
What are some of the paths available to a meteorology technician who's looking to, climb higher?
That's a great point. While the cons section in RoleCatcher mentions limited career growth as a potential drawback, I think it's more about recognizing all the different avenues that are actually available. Yes, you might not become CEO of all weather.
Although now I kind of want that on a business card.
Right. But jokes aside, specializing in a niche area within meteorology can actually lead to some really unique and high-demand opportunities. For instance, you could move into specialized research, maybe focusing on climate modeling or severe weather prediction. Academia is another path, perhaps teaching the next generation of meteorology technicians or conducting cutting-edge research. And then there's always the management track within meteorological organizations where you're overseeing teams and operations.
So it's not about climbing a single ladder. It's more like navigating a jungle gym with all sorts of exciting paths to explore.
Exactly.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about actually landing that first job.
Okay.
I noticed that RoleCatcher has a whole section dedicated to acing the meteorology technician interview.
Yes, they do. It's full of great tips. One question that really stood out to me was, can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision related to weather forecasting or data interpretation?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Why do you think they asked that? What are they trying to gauge in the interviewee with a question like that?
It's all about assessing your critical thinking skills under pressure. Remember, this role is about more than just reading data. It's about understanding what it all means and then making those sound judgments sometimes in really high-stakes situations. They want to know that you can handle the heat, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like if you are tracking a developing hurricane,
Yeah.
you need to be able to analyze all of that data so quickly and make a call that could, impact public safety. So those decisions really matter.
Exactly. They want to see that you can stay calm, think critically, and make those tough calls when it really counts.
Okay, so final piece of advice for someone who's like prepping for one of these interviews. What's the one thing that'll help them to stand out?
RoleCatcher really emphasizes the importance of tailoring your answers to highlight your own unique experience. So when you're prepping, don't just focus on your technical skills. Think about those times that you've demonstrated those really crucial soft skills. We talked about communication, teamwork, problem solving.
It's like telling a story, but that story shows off your skills in action.
Exactly. The more you can connect those past experiences to the specific demands of this role, the more memorable you'll be.
That's fantastic advice. Well, folks, there you have it, from understanding what a meteorology technician is and the crucial role that they play in our, increasingly unpredictable world, to exploring the skills that you'll need, the exciting career paths that are available, and even how to rock that interview. We've covered it all.
And don't forget, this is a field that's on the cutting edge with technology constantly evolving. Who knows what the future holds for meteorology technicians?
Maybe they will be programming those weather prediction models or even collaborating with AI to create even more accurate forecasts. It's a career with incredible potential to, make a real difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for today's deep dive. Big thanks to our expert for sharing their incredible insights. And for you listeners, don't forget to check out RoleCatcher's full guide for even more in-depth information. Who knows, you might just be the future of weather technology.